I'm recording this video again. I just recorded it, watched it back, and then I watched it and went, hang on, no, I know what you need to say now, so I'm recording it again. And what I needed to talk about, really, and I didn't talk about in the last video, that I've just scrapped, is that the process is the punishment. This is what the government is doing to us. The process is the punishment. We watched Lucy Connolly go through this process, which is horrific. She's been in jail for 3 months already, goes through this, what I would argue is a show trial, negative jury, because she pleaded guilty, of course, and then she's locked up for... what? 2.5 years. She's going to get out in a year, isn't she? With good behaviour, probably. I mean, crikey, this is a mother, isn't it? And if we look at, she's had turbulence in her life, and what she said was what any one of us would really say if we didn't really understand where the line was. And the government doesn't want us to understand where the line was. It doesn't want us to understand what we can really say so that we don't say it. If you don't know what your limits are, you don't know where to go. If someone said, right, mate, drive down this motorway, right? Oh, yeah, what's the speed limit, mate? I'm not going to tell you. But if you go over it, you're going to get a ticket. Mate, tell me what the limit on the road is. I'm not going to tell you. What you can do, you can drive slowly, aren't you? You can, like, do 20 miles an hour going, I don't know, what's everyone else, what are the speeds everyone else doing here? Is you going to get a ticket before me? If the government says, this speed limit is 70 miles an hour, bang, that's what you're going to drive at. If you go over 70, you're getting a ticket, I'm driving at 70. And what the government's done with the law, because it's kind of nuanced and complex, we don't know what to say. We don't know what we can say. Lucy obviously went too far. She incited violence. Irrespective of the nuance of the words she used, it was taken by the judge, obviously, the sentencing guidelines, to pretty much throw the book at her. We don't really know where that line is. People will sometimes say in the comments here, it's pretty obvious, Tim. It's not obvious. If it was obvious, she wouldn't have said it. Let's be honest. She is not going to say something where she knows she's going to end up in jail for 2.5 years. Fact. She said it. She didn't know really what it was, and she deleted it, and she was sorry and everything else. So I think that's the problem. When you don't know what you can say, you don't know what you can speak, you don't know how far you can go, you just go a lot slower, like on the motorway, don't you? You don't speak out against the government and things like this. Speak out against things like immigration, like she was speaking out. The government don't want us to speak out about immigration because they know they're wrong. They know they're flooding the country with people who they don't know whose identity are. They have no idea of these people's backgrounds because they've thrown their documents in the sea. People coming over with guns on their face. You see that dude? Bloody idiot. You know what I mean? Those kind of people. And we accept them in our society to walk on the streets with our young children. To me, it's a dereliction of the duty of the government. But I'm not here inciting anything. I'm just saying what I think are facts. And I can't go too far because, of course, they're going to look at me. Now, I know I've been looked at already because I lost a job. This is going back a couple of years now. The Ministry of Defence stopped my security clearance when I was working in defence. And this is why I say the process is the deterrent. The process is the punishment. When I lost my security job back in 2019, something like that, I think it was, that day, sacked, bang, because I'd spoken out about the Royal Air Force. Something like that. Subsequently, the Royal Air Force had to apologise and finance young white men that it wouldn't allow in because of their skin colour. We talked about it before. Don't worry, I don't need to do it now. But I lost a job. Now, I complained to the MOD, faceless emails, of course. There was no names on emails. Eventually, I had leverage with the MOD on something that they didn't like. And, of course, I said, I'm going to expose this in the media if you don't give my clearance back. It came back within 3 hours. But that took about 3 months of me being out of work. And I never worked in defence again because of the volatility. So the process was the punishment. The Ministry of Defence knew that I wouldn't go into defence again because they could always stop my security clearance. They knew that. In the same way, they know that the entire country is thinking, can I speak out on Twitter? Can I make videos like Tim does, like here? Because if I get it wrong, I'm going to jail. The process is that punishment. They know. We've witnessed that process. We can see what that punishment is. This brings me on to personal responsibility, accountability, and generational accountability. And one of the things I'm thinking about more than ever, guys, is what it means to be that generation ahead of other generations. So I'm Generation X, behind baby boomers who are dying out or about to die out. So Gen X, 65 through to 80, I think it was. I was born in 74, so I'm 50. What do I owe to the generations behind me? Well, I owe something, all right? And hopefully they will owe something. We all owe something. What can that be? I believe we have to set an example to them. We just have to set an example to the younger generation. Even if they're naive and doing whatever, we probably did it ourselves. But Gen X is a little bit different because we're not digital natives. We are tech savvy. We grew up into the internet. We didn't have the internet when we grew up. You know, we drank out hoses when we were running around the streets, didn't we? We skateboarded without helmets on. We came home when the street lights came on. You know, we had like 3-4 channels on the TV, that kind of stuff. So we're used to sort of minimalism. We're used to and not having everything. And we understand as well that the more you have, the kind of more unhappy you have, because you've got things to be responsible for. So we kind of get to my age and you're like, I've got a lot of shit, right? I've got a lot of stuff. I need to chuck some of that stuff out. You know what I mean? I need to just, you know, I'm not going to have it, am I, in my 60s and 70s? You know, I'm sitting here in my car. I've got a car either side of me. You know, my wife's got a car. I've got 4 cars as a car, and they've got 5 cars. How many cars do I need, right? So it just is. Irrespective. We all have toys. I get that. Don't get me wrong. What can we teach the younger generation? I think we can teach them tolerance, understanding, acceptability, personal accountability. I think there are things that we can show them. I think we can teach them what it means to be English. I think that's important. I think that is important, and that is about, well, there's many things, but I do think that we need to start looking after ourselves as a generation. I think we've got a lot of trouble ahead, not just because of the government we've got in, but for the governments we've got in across the entire world. We're blending countries now, aren't we? We understand that. And we have to make sure that as individuals, whether we're Gen X, Y, Z, Alpha, whatever it is, that we are looking after ourselves, families, communities, as best we possibly can for this country, because if we don't, we just lose it. You have to remember that when you go on holiday, and it's maybe a bit different because we are English, and so, you know, I'm just saying it's a bit different. We're not as invested in that country because we're on holiday. When immigrants come to the UK, they're not as invested in the UK because they can go home again, right? So, you know, litter for them isn't an issue and things like this. I know it's not all of them. I'm just saying, you know, maybe I'm not saying illegal. I'm not saying legal. I know there's people here that want to really be here, and I fully understand that. What I'm saying is, I live here. I don't have anywhere to go. It's my country. I've lived here my entire life. I've served in the military for 20 years. I'm out now, and I want to enjoy the country. I want to enjoy the people. I've lived away on a remote basis for a long time. And yet there's some places I'd just worry twice about walking through unless I had another 3 or 4 dudes like me with me, right? Because they're not English right now. These cities are not English. And there's people in the cities that don't treat them like I would treat them, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think that we are losing faith and the government is happy for us to do so. Does that make sense? The future, we are quite despondent about. There's nothing exciting about it. It's only getting worse. It's only getting dark. And I think Lucy's case shows all of us that. You can make a mistake. You can put a tweet out like she did because she's angry because she lost her child to the NHS. It was a mistake with NHS. She probably felt, I think she felt those doctors were immigrants. She felt it was an immigrant that had done the Southport thing. She felt it was because it was being reported as an immigrant, and she put a tweet out and she gets prison sentence for it. Not seeing her daughter now for a year at least, because that's what she's got to serve. And we think, can this happen to all of us? And the government wants us to think that it can. It wants us to think that if we step out of line, that will happen to us. That's the government we're under in the UK. And if you're watching this from another country, I was an officer in the military for 2 decades. And I'm telling you, this is real. I'm telling you that people in the country feel like I do. Like, hang on, this isn't the England I knew. This is a little bit dystopian now. I'm not going all out and going, you get locked up for a tweet. It was a pretty stupid tweet that did incite violence. If I'd read it, I wouldn't have thought there was that much wrong with it. I'd probably go on a bit risky, you know what I mean? But not like that's 2.5 years in prison, 40% of that reduced to 12 months. That's what she's going to get. I wouldn't have thought that, you know, because she said, for all I care, you know, go and do this for all I care. I didn't think, no one's expecting her to be, it wasn't like she was making an order. We are going off to do this. Come with me, be at this time. We're going to collect the weapons from here and we're going to do, it wasn't like that. It was a bored housewife throwing out a tweet. And then she gets locked up because they're making an example of her to punish and deter. The process is the punishment. We understand this. And that's the government. It's vindictive. Starmer is vindictive. He's not the same as we've had before. We're playing by different rules. That's what we've got to remember. So what have we got to do generationally? Gen X, I think Gen X. We've got to just be looking after ourselves a bit more. You've got to be a bit more mobile. When you're on your walks, you need to go on walks, by the way, because we need to get out and appreciate nature. So we get away from computer screens. We get away from scrolling. Pick up litter. Put it in a bag. Look after your communities. Join a club. Build that club. Sacrificial leadership. Do things you don't want to do to help out other people. Look at the generations beneath you and nurture them because they're going to be the future. I hate to be that guy that says that. The younger are the future, but they are. We've got to get them into houses. We've got to get them into families. We've got to give them some aspect of ownership. We cannot rent everything anymore. We need them to get a mortgage with houses they can pay off. It's no point keeping our younger generation renting the whole time. And the reason they're renting and rents are going up is because we've got so much immigration coming into the country. It's pushing house prices up. Serco buying up all the properties. These people, young uns, try and go and rent these things. They can't. They can't do it. Remember, London, like 35% white now. 35% white British in our capital city. Other cities are probably worse than that now, I don't know. It's our responsibility as Gen X, though, to solve this. And I don't know how we're going to do it. Also baby boomers and also millennials coming in now. But people are slightly different, aren't they? You know what I mean? But I'm just telling you, we're burning out. Gen X, we're going to die. We're 50, all right? I'm leaving this now. We're 50. I might last for another decade or two, but I'm not going to be effective after, 60 odd, am I? I'm really not, all right? We know that. The energy goes down. Let's use this time now to make a massive difference if we possibly can for those coming from behind us. We might think they're a bit stupid. They think we're dicks as well. We understand that, but they are the future people. They are Englishmen. They are English women. We've got to look after them. And if you are, as I said, in America, France, anywhere else, think about what's unique to your country. You've got to look after people as well. Don't be led by these governments. I'm not saying anything. I'm not inciting violence towards government at all. I'm genuinely not. Use a proper process. I know it doesn't work, but we've got to do something, right? But look, let's look after the younger generation. Remember that the process is the punishment, and just be careful what you say, because of course they want to catch us out, don't they? I'm now worried I've said something on this video. I'm going to put it out anyway, because that's what we need to do. We need to lead. It's sacrificial, guys. We need to do something, even if it's causing us problems. I appreciate it. Whack stuff down in the comments for me, because I do read them, even the nasty ones, because I know there are some people that write nasty things, and I feel for you, and I'll talk to you anyway, because I'm that kind of dude. But look, if you have any solutions to this, then by all means, help a brother out right now, because, in my blood, it is the red of the English flag. I'm not leaving these lands. I've got nowhere else to go. And if that means I have to stand toe to toe with people, then I'll do that. And I know there's some fantastic English men and women, Welshmen, Scotsmen as well, even the Irish that are going to stand next to us, right? And it might come down to that. It probably is going to. There's no stopping this, is there? I appreciate you just watching this video, because it just means that I have a little bit of hope out there. There are other people that feel like I do. They recognize there's an issue and they want to do something about it. I appreciate it, guys. Listen, take care of yourselves. If I can just say that little thing, just take care of yourselves. And just, if we can just go out and be in nature for a little bit, turn the screens off for a little bit, look after the generations beneath us for a little bit, and maybe try and eat healthily, get some sleep in, and just get some mobility, just get your body moving, get that blood moving. I think we're all going to feel a little bit better. Hey, I appreciate it. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.